I'm a peace activist, and that's actually my job description, even though I couldn't legally list it when I was running for city council. I went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they said, no, that's not a legitimate job description. But to me, it is. And to all the activists out there, you're doing a great job, and one of these days you will be recognized, and it will be a legitimate job description. I got started as an anti-nuclear activist, and it ties in so much with the peace activism and the environmental activism and all the other types of activism. I'm proud to be an activist. I think it's a great word. I've organized over 200 events, rallies, forums, protests, different projects. I've been on 40 hunger strikes. The longest one, believe it or not, was for 6 months on liquid only. And the one that ended me up in the hospital was the one when we were trying to save the Biona wetlands, and I was on water only for 26 days. Can't play around with that. I was on a peace march that walked cross country in 8.5 months with 1,000 people over the Rocky Mountains, across the Mojave Desert, 15 to 20 miles every day. Made it on one pair of shoes. What an endeavor. It was the most organized and disorganized thing I've ever been part of, all at the same time. That was for global nuclear disarmament. And my gosh, when we're talking about saving chain reaction, you could understand that was already part of everything that's affected me. From the air raid sirens when I was a little kid, and the fear of nuclear war that was probably more subconscious then, and I didn't realize till later. My goodness, we need to do more. And Paul Conrad's chain reaction sculpture is such an important warning. Everyone should be able to do at least a little bit more. I don't say you got to walk cross country or go on hunger strikes or do this or go to every meeting. But my gosh, we can all write at least one letter to the editor once every few months, or write a letter to our Congress member, right? Well, I was honored to meet Paul Conrad back in 1990. He was a 3-time Pulitzer Prize winning political cartoonist for the LA Times, and he donated this wonderful artwork to Santa Monica. We were lobbying to get this wonderful proposed gift to Santa Monica accepted by Santa Monica. I know there are a lot of people that are kind of scared of it or don't like it or think it's ugly, and it was a controversy. There were people against it, but the Arts Commission was for it unanimously.
What may be beautiful to you is not necessarily beautiful to me. You know, everybody has the privilege of responding as they do. But beyond just the external, when we see a touchstone, which chain reaction sculpture is, to something that is so enormous, we need to remember on a daily basis its potential impact.
Some of the people I know that work in education say it is the best educational sculpture that they've ever seen, because it provides an opportunity for people to have dialogue and debate over that important issue. It allows for parents and educators to have their classes of children, young children, older children, come and ask questions and help alleviate their fears that I had. There's a message inscribed at the bottom that says, "This is a statement of peace. May it never become an epitaph." Chain reaction is one of the most amazing and unique and important public art sculptures anywhere. I cherish it, and I feel honored that I was part of the movement to get it here years ago, back in 1990, and to help save it. It's a statement and a warning monument against the dangers of nuclear weapons. That and the issue of climate change, I think, are the two most important global issues that are facing humanity and humanity's future for us activists today.
Well, when I was asked to participate in the Desert X Biennial, I had to come and think about the site, the desert. And you have this beautiful and very fragile ecology here, and at the same time you have this rather dark history of the desert as a dumping ground for nuclear waste, for testing the hydrogen bomb, for the development of military installations. I thought back to some earlier work that I had done around Women's Strike for Peace, which was an organization in the 1960s of like my mother's generation that had gone to the Nevada test site and demonstrated against the testing of nuclear weapons and had been very effective in getting Kennedy to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty of '63. I took their slogans, which were like, end the arms race, not the human race, we don't want to set the world on fire, and then peace is the only shelter, that they actually put on umbrellas. And so I did this and I photographed myself carrying them in the desert. And I thought, well, how can I bring that into the city and into the everyday life? And I thought, well, I'll use the existing bus shelters, but I'll invoke a fallout shelter.
Beautiful, beautiful job on that. It's so eloquent and so truthful and so honest, and I hope a whole bunch of people come. Well, I'm visiting friends, and I saw this art installation, and I read about this particular place, and this is where I wanted to come because I've been involved in the Nevada test site and working with Women's Strike for Peace and doing actions, nonviolent actions. We descended on Nevada test site many times, but it got really bigger and bigger and bigger. And shortly after they did close it. We did a lot of work though with the workers because that was interrupting jobs and educating them about the pollution and the destruction of the land, and also the Shoshone people live there, and so it's respecting the land of the people, the first original peoples. So that's what it was, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of sitting in jail, and John Lewis said most recently. He said, we got to get in trouble, and I honored that. I believe that.
One of the things I like about your piece is so pointedly, first political, and also so apropos to this area, because as you were saying, which a lot of people don't know, is that California is a site for all these military installations, and also close to these toxic testing sites, So I think that's something that bears, us remembering and knowing even.
What I did in terms of the color coding within the piece is to take some of the kind of very beautiful colors of the desert in the photograph, and especially at night when the sky is just turning very, very blue, and to use that complementary scheme, that yellow-blue scheme, and bring it into the maps and into the Doomsday Clock, that blue, so that you have something rather kind of dark and mysterious working against this flashy yellow.
This is actually our stuff, and we love the yellow color. It's sunny and marvelous.
What about the message? Nothing like New York. Strike for peace.
Yes, the only thing that we're missing, the time. They have to put back the time.
Well, that's the
when
Doomsday
they run.
Clock.
I'm sorry?
That's the Doomsday Clock.
The Doomsday
Clock, which shows that where we are in relation
That's
to
funny.
nuclear
That is
catastrophe. So you're sitting there waiting for the end of the world.
Please, God, I don't want that to end yet. I'm still around. We're Holocaust survivors. We want to live.
I think a lot of what you understand about a work of art is phenomenological. I want people to read the content, but I know that there's just going to be a flash moment when you drive by or you walk by, and that kind of color scheme and that refabrication of a known structure is going to probably be 90% of what you take away. Anything after that's kind of an extra bonus as you walk into it, and perhaps get caught up in the narrative that runs throughout the 3 shelters. The works that you see in the exhibition here are reflections on growing up during the Cold War. So much was connected to that earlier period.
During the post-war period in the 50s, when sculpture was being looked at, I think there was an oversight in terms of the effects of the bent and twisted steel of the London Blitz, produced in the newspapers as well as in real life, of course. If you look at Caro's Early One Morning, that's what you'd have seen early one morning in London after the Blitz.
Trauma of the war is passed on in families through their gestures, through what they don't say, mostly through their silences. I decided that it would be interesting to kind of collaborate on a 3-dimensional work based on the bomb shelters he had described to me that they used in the north of England.
If there was an air raid, then everything would fly about and the grid would stop the objects from hitting the occupants.
We also collaborated on a work called Multi-Story House, and then on 2 bomb shelters called Habitus 1 and Habitus 2. And as I say, it was not just in terms of the sculptural knowledge that he has and the realization of the project from that point of view, but it was our kind of discussions that we had about the war, about the content of it. Even though I've written the text for it, a lot of it is kind of based on our conversations about this.
We went post-argument on a lot of it, and the empathy really should come out in the object, the final object, and if it's not there, then we've probably failed, but I think you'll find it's a hybrid form that captures both voices, hopefully.
Yeah. One of the things that struck me about the absurdity of the British model is that it was a sort of do-it-yourself kit to make people feel they had some kind of control. In the U.S., we had mainly these drills to remind us in the build-up of the Cold War period, how to duck under your desk, as I was saying, and put cardboard on the windows, which of course in a nuclear holocaust would mean absolutely nothing.
First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by.
When I was a kid, when they used to play, I don't know, it must have been a game in some way, because it couldn't have been real, and yet I was so fearful. When they tell you to duck under your desk, as if that was going to protect you from a nuclear bomb. All the kids in our elementary school would get under the desk as the air raid sirens were blowing. And later on, I started having nightmares and terrible things, and I developed epileptic seizures. That's another story in itself. I was lucky to have a chiropractor cure that in 1979, and my whole life changed. I got involved in the anti-nuclear movement, the peace movement, the environmental movement. I met Marissa, and we've been working together as peace partners since then. So how lucky am I? How lucky am I to be doing with so many other people the job of helping to make a better world.
Art and painting and sculpture have been, part of my experience and my life. It evolved into my becoming an art therapist. That became my life's work. When I sketch or paint, something comes from within me, down through my arm and out onto the paper. As somebody who spent 25 years as an art therapist at UCLA, at the Neuropsychiatric Institute, working with teenagers who were inpatient, what I did with them is similar to what I do with myself. I have them sitting around a table and music in the background, and I guide them through a relaxation. And there are many different approaches. Just pick the colors that you are drawn to. Take a pen, a marker, chalk, whatever, in your hand. Close your eyes. For the next few minutes, I just want you to sort of dance to the music. Just do what you feel like doing. I have them open their eyes, look at what they've done, and I say, does it look like anything to you? Does it look like it wants to become something? And if you want to continue on with your eyes open to add any color or texture, just continue doing that. And then it's important for the words to come. Does it make you angry? Does it make you happy? Does it make you sad? I am guided by the way I guided these wonderful teenagers that I learned so much from. At a certain time in my life, I felt it wasn't enough just to do my particular job. I needed to get beyond who I personally was, start making an impact, putting my energy into the world. And I happened to mention all of this to a person I was standing next to at a place that existed many years ago in Santa Monica called Dance Home. And he said, look at that man. See him dancing and whirling around by himself? You contact that guy. He will help you to get involved.
And literally, smashed right into Marissa on the dance floor. And how lucky I was that I bumped into her. And we just started dancing.
Via my art abilities, I became his sign maker. And I just loved his take on politics, his lifestyle, and I became a part of it.
And when, after not too much time, I asked if she would marry me. And she said yes. I have the sign here that Marissa had made up. The rainbow. It says, linking personal commitment and love with global commitment and peace. And that was the theme of the wedding. And Marissa and I were out passing out flyers like you would pass out inviting people to a rally. We wanted everyone to come and share in our public peace rally wedding. And it was wonderful. And Marissa looked beautiful in a rainbow dress, and I looked pretty good myself, actually. You can look at the picture. You'd say, is that you? Yes, it was and is me. And yes, doesn't Marissa look even more beautiful today than she did 36 years ago in that beautiful rainbow dress? That's our wedding ring we designed. says she wants to see it, and I want the world to see it. Marissa and I got together along with a wonderful columnist for the Santa Monica Daily Press named Charles Andrews, a little group of people, and an endeavor to help save a mural. It's called the Muir Woods mural, done by a wonderful artist named Jane Golden, who used to live here, and she started one of the most prestigious public art endeavors in the world. But this is her last public art piece that's left in Santa Monica.
Going to work, I used to travel past that mural and see it most every day. It had a tremendous influence on my life. John Muir is not just the name of a school, his heritage, what he left there. The message of, here are these trees, I'm bringing them to you, and we need to preserve the earth.
It's such a beautiful mural, and now what we are hoping to do is to get the school board and the superintendent and everyone involved at the Olympic School, where it's now located, to come together and help save and restoratively repaint that mural. And that could be a citywide effort that could involve the students, that could involve people, that could do the work, and even plant things in the wonderful planters that are there.
There's much more to it, to save our planet, to enjoy the beauty, the fragrance, and the magnificent existence of forests. We need the Muir Woods mural. We need it now and forever.
Think of when you had a delicious, nutritious, good, sexy, healthy meal and how that makes you feel. I think food is peace. It's peace of mind. The fact that you have food and you're able to feed your family, what other kind of peace is there? People need to realize there's not us and then nature out there and we put our boots on and we go see nature. You look in the mirror and you see nature every day. We're nature. I wanted beauty in my neighborhood. I wanted to be able to, I thought there should be food everywhere. Like, if I do this, I got a pear in my hand. I wanted to come out of my house and see beauty. That's where it first started. I wanted to assault people with beautiful smells and just beautiful colors, beautiful flowers. You walk by and you just smell it, and that affects your senses compared to you seeing a space that's nothing but litter and trash and gray and concrete and asphalt. It changes your mindset. Gardens equal freedom. Soil is what you turn into. You know, if you want to believe the scripture and all that stuff, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. When you open that box, that's what's in there. Dust, dirt, soil, carbon. That's what we are. We're compost. We decompose just like a leaf does. I tell people, a leaf falls for a reason in a particular season, and it does it over and over and over for millions of years. And that leaf is not just a leaf. We look at it as rubbish, trash, something you get out and you throw away. I look at it as a resource. When we came up, we was, oh man, that's fly. Oh, that's gangster. Gangster was a kind of endearment when you did something badass. That's gangster. And it didn't have the connotation of crime, murder, drugs, you know, it didn't have none of that. So as far as Gangsta Gardener came up, it was because all these kids, I'm a gangster. I said, no. Let's get gangster with the soil. Okay, let's get gangster with this shovel. Let's flip that script and turn that term into something that's positive instead of something that's negative. If you a farmer, if you a gardener, you gangster, because you're feeding people. You're building community. You're employing people. That's gangster. Knowing your history, knowing where you come from, knowing how you're built, that's gangster. I came up with this concept. I did a TED Talk. Let your shovel be your weapon. This is my weapon of choice. This is my weapon to change the world. And this is urban weaponry. Weapons of mass creation instead of weapons of mass destruction. How do we change a landscape? Get a shovel. We don't need a gun. We don't need a cannon. We don't need a bazooka. I'm surrounded by artists. So I got a lot of artists. I call them, hey, I want you to paint a shovel. I want you to do something to a shovel. Like, what? At first it started off slow, and a lot of artists got it. I have artists in different kinds of mediums, from stained glass to mosaic to paint, stencil. I even have some plasma cut shovels that are being done for this exhibit. I want to do weapons of mass creation. We have people from all over who have been kind enough to donate art for us for this show. One of the artists is Charles Dixon. He's like this, he's a legendary African-American artist, one old school here in LA, very, very well known. And he did a shovel where he plasma cut it, an Ndinka symbol in the shovel. And right behind me there's Michael Massenburg. I mean, there's so many people in here that I had never met in person. And they were generous enough, like, Ron, oh, yeah, I'm in. Oh, just, okay. Some people, oh, don't worry, I know what shovel it is, I'll go buy one. To have that kind of love and that kind of rep and that kind of support, man, it's kind of, I don't know, it sounds hokey, but it's just kind of heart-wrenching, man. Because I'm not doing a tenth of what I want to do. But the fact that what I've done has made this impact is, it's a beautiful thing. I do workshops. I was just in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where there's a conference called Fruto. A woman came up to me and said, I have 15 gardens. We started 15 gardens because of you. So they started 15 community gardens because they heard me talk. So the power of the media is a beautiful thing. Kids in India, their father sent me a picture of them planting stuff and they're calling themselves Gangsta Gardeners in India. And he said, yeah, and they're recruiting other gangsters from around the neighborhood, to start growing food. And he says, they look at your talk every day. And it's like the fact that I can inspire kids in other countries it's just amazing to me. And it just showed, and me traveling shows me how necessary this is. Why do we value what we value? Because that's what we've been trained to do. People think that money is the only thing that has value. And being successful is not right now. It's everything they train us to do is in the future. And I just wanted the people to know, you're successful already. You're valuable already. Not the things around you that make you valuable. I'm gonna be sick when I get successful. You're successful. You woke up this morning.
Thank you.